Every single time you interact with a database, a search you run, a report you pull, there's this hidden decision-making process that just kicks into gear. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible intelligence that powers one of the most legendary databases in the world, the Oracle Optimizer.
It's a pretty wild question, isn't it? When you send a command, a piece of SQL, out into the ether, the database doesn't just blindly follow your orders. No, it actually analyzes it considers all these different paths, and it makes a choice. It thinks. So how in the world does it decide the absolute fastest, most efficient way to get you your data back?
All right, let's dive right into it. To really understand how a database thinks, we need to meet the thinker itself, the core component that's basically the system's central nervous system. And here it is, the Oracle Optimizer. Now, this isn't some piece of code you write or a button you get to press. It's a fundamental, built-in part of the database. Its one and only job is to look at your query and, like some kind of master strategist, figure out the absolute best execution plan. That's the step-by-step recipe to get the job done using the least amount of work possible. This is the brain of the entire operation.
But this brain wasn't always the genius that it is today. Its story is actually one of incredible evolution, a journey from being just a simple rule-following machine to something genuinely intelligent. This right here, this comparison, it just captures that giant leap perfectly. Back in the day, we had what was called the rule-based optimizer, or RBO. And yeah, it was predictable, but only because it had this rigid list of rules it followed no matter what. Like, always use an index if one exists. But what if using that index was actually the slower way to get the data? The RBO didn't care. Rules are rules. Then came the total game changer, the cost-based optimizer, or CBO. It didn't just blindly follow rules. It looked at statistics about your actual data to estimate the cost of different approaches. It's the difference between trying to find a word by reading a dictionary cover to cover versus just using the alphabetical order to jump right to the page. The CBO is all about finding that smartest, most efficient route.
And once that strategic CBO was born, it started to learn and grow, getting smarter and smarter with each major release of Oracle. And this journey is really the story of modern database performance. So this whole journey really kicks off with Oracle 7. That's when the cost-based optimizer first showed up, giving the database a sense of judgment for the very first time. Then, with Oracle 8i and 9i, it learned this brilliant new trick called query rewrite, which we'll talk about in a sec. By Oracle 10G, things got automated. The optimizer started feeding itself the data it needed to make good decisions, which took a huge manual task off the table. And finally, from 12c onward, it became truly adaptive. It could literally change its plan in the middle of a query if it realized there was a better way. Just a constant evolution towards smarter, faster results. Okay, so the crucial thing to understand about that age of rewrite is this. The optimizer figured out that sometimes the way you're asking a question isn't the best way to ask it. With query rewrite, it could just transparently change your query behind the scenes into a much faster equivalent one. Often, it would do this by grabbing the answer from a pre-calculated summary table. Think of it like a cheat sheet with all the common answers already worked out. It's kind of like asking for directions to the store, and instead of giving you a long turn-by-turn route, your GPS just says, it's right here in your hand. You get the same result, but instantly.
So all of this sounds like some fascinating tech history, right? But what was the real-world impact? Why does this hidden component matter so much?
Well, this constant evolution is exactly what turned Oracle into a performance beast. It's what allowed companies to run these massive, incredibly complex applications on it without breaking a sweat. And maybe most importantly, it built trust. Developers and DBAs learned they didn't have to manually tune every single query to death. They could actually trust the database's brain to make a smart choice. And that trust, that became the absolute bedrock of Oracle's reputation for being able to scale and perform no matter the pressure. This quote just says it all, really. The optimizer was that invisible engine that took the raw language of developers, the SQL, and translated it not just into an answer, but into the fastest possible answer. It was the secret ingredient that delivered pure performance. So as we look back on this whole journey, from simple rules to an adaptive, thinking mind, it leaves us with a pretty compelling question. We've seen the database develop this incredible logical brain. So what's next? What does the next generation of database intelligence, maybe infused with AI and machine learning, even look like? What new kinds of problems is it going to solve?